Many parents were encouraged after the discussions on math TEKS during the April meeting. Some were upset that the review could not take place over the summer, as the 2015 sample questions have been released. This frustration was the impetus for the petition that is circulating. I was not the originator of the petition, but I did sign it. I want to thank this board for setting up a math work session in September. Since this will not be a public meeting and you are going to bring in members of the team that wrote and reviewed these standards, I encourage you to get the input from Dr. Milgram. Listening to Wednesday's meeting, Mr. Morath threw it back to you saying, as in all matters of the standards, it is the purview of the SBOE and we support you in any way y'all decide to go. It is clear to the public that if anything is to be done, it will be done by this board. Also from the meeting on Wednesday, it seems Mr. Morath believes that it is only the process standards in a classroom implementation problem in math, but this is incorrect. Yes, the process standards are outside of the particular core content, core knowledge area. I wish he hadn't used the word core. The process standards muddy the issue and are not necessary to be in the standards to teach any of the content knowledge. As Dr. Milgram stated, there is no process that works for problem solving unless you understand the actual subject matter you are talking about. Processes work in conjunction with knowledge of a subject matter, not in place of it. It is not just the process standards as identified in the report I gave you in April. The content standards also call out multiple methods and use the word including. This means these methods must be taught, and as I demonstrated, these methodologies are showing up on the STAR assessments. As a reminder, I've included one example from my April report where a third grade content TEK calls for 7 methods to be taught for solving one-step and two-step problems involving multiplication and division within 100. Note the 7 methods are called out in the content standard. One could say that if each process standard must be taught in conjunction with these content standards, you'd have to teach 49 things for this one TEK. And I gave you the example. The highlighted yellow is where he calls out objects, pictorial models, arrays, area models, equal groups, properties of operations, and recall of facts. That's in the content standards. When you bring in your panel for September work session, don't take the expert's word for this reform math, that this reform math is better. Make them produce research where it has been proven to work. They should provide independent research that has nothing to do with the people developing or writing or selling this material. This is where their argument falls apart. There is no research that this reform mathematics pedagogy works, at least not to teach mathematics. This reform education pedagogy is an ideology with its roots in social justice and equal outcomes, whether those that are implementing it in the classroom understand that or not. This is why the Math Academies for teachers, I'm almost done. Okay. Yeah. For teachers this summer will not solve the problem. Training in how to teach bad math will not help the fact that it's still bad math. This is not an implementation problem. The problems of falling test scores should not be blamed on teachers. I know I'm out of time, but please take a look at the data I found on test scores and minimum passing scores for the STAR mathematics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Houchins. Is there a question? I do want to clear up something that you said, that it wasn't a public meeting. It actually is a public meeting. It's just that it's invited to testimony only. Okay. So it will definitely be open to the public.
Okay, I was in the question.
Yeah. Oh, no, okay. No. You can come. It's just that we're specifically seeking input from invited testifiers, which are mostly centered around the folks who worked on the original review teams, as I understand it. Am I correct in that, members? And so, anyway, that's what it is. But no, it's a public meeting.
Okay.
And right now it's scheduled for the morning of September 13th.
All right, I look forward to it.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Oh, yes, Ms. Miller. Okay, Ms. Miller, can you turn on your mic?
Trying to get used to this. Could you go on and explain the bottom half of that last about competency-based education, collaborative learning?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about collaborative learning, and it's also called project-based learning or competency-based education. How that looks in the classroom, it forces students that already know a concept to teach the other children in the group instead of moving on to another skill. So those students are held back, and this is how they equalize the outcome. Those kids that understand the material end up in these group study sessions teaching the other students. And the teacher is not what they call the sage on the stage. It's the guide on the side. And I really think that's unfair for students who have the potential to move ahead in a subject or get farther ahead. It's not allowed when you have this collaborative learning. Just as Carol Haynes said in Tuesday's testimony, collaboration is a methodology for teaching. And I have big questions on how you measure that. It's very subjective. They talked about there being a rubric. Y'all should review that rubric. Who developed the rubric, and has it been proven to be accurate?
Any other questions? Thank you. Oh, yes, Mr. Ellis.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure of the format for our work study session coming up, but I would invite Mr. Houchins to be there. Yeah, and it might be that I would invite him to testify, and I need to think about that.
Yeah, let's, I know staff was working, or we'll be working on, and we're taking your, who you wanted to hear from list. That's the
Okay.
email that I sent out in May to
Great.
say, please let Renee know who,
Yeah.
in addition to the work teams thing, she was going to, look at the list and let us know
Okay.
who were on the teams.
Well,
I know a couple of members submitted a couple of folks.
Okay, and if you're able to be there, Mr. Houchins, I would invite you to come, and we'll see about
Yeah, we
you
have to
getting on
see,
the
because
list.
we want to make sure we get it done in that morning, and so, we'll.
But here's my point. Mr. Houchins has done a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah, he has.
And I haven't always agreed with your testimony, by the way, just,
Fair enough.
on the record, that's fair enough. But I am very appreciative as a parent, and I mean, because that's your investment, that's your,
Hours.
yeah,
Hours.
your stake in this. My understanding, you're not an educator, not a teacher necessarily, but you're a
Right, I
parent.
stand to gain nothing financially from what I do.
Precisely, yeah, precisely. And you have spent a great deal of time educating me and others about this issue. And so I would appreciate input from Mr. Houchins and other folks like him whenever we have a work session, because Mr. Houchins is directly affected by this, and has spent a great deal of time and effort on this topic. So
In fact, it's cost me $42,000 with tutoring at Silver.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't make anything from this. It's costed me.
So you have a financial investment in it as well. Okay, thank you, Mr. Houchins.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yes, Ms. Cargill.
Well, and Renee, if you would add Dr. Milgram to the invitation list, since he was one of the original experts. I know he withdrew at one point, but he might be willing to come, and that's one of the requests from Randy, so I thought it might be nice to honor that if he can come.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Randy. Really, we
Thank
do
you.
appreciate, you've put a lot of effort into trying to help us to look at this.
I look forward to the release of the 2016 stars.
Yeah, that's coming in August. That's coming in August. And that's why we did the work session after the full test had been released, because the first time we've gotten a chance to look at the full test based on the new standards. We've had samples, but not the full test.
Okay, why are they not releasing the 2015 as a full?
It's because they need a bank, as I understand it. Now, assessment's not here, but as I understand, they need
Okay.
to build up a bank based on the new standards, and so it takes a while to do that, and that's what I understand.
Okay, that makes sense. I just
But
didn't know
maybe
why.
that's a question that we could ask, when we have the work session. So.
Because I wanted to see how many.
Oh, that's true. Okay, Ms. Hardy knows more than I do about it.
I
So
wanted to see how many total questions were process related, because as you see in the report here, up to 30% of the questions are process related on the 50% of the questions they released. So
Right.
if the other half, you're talking close to 60%
Well, and
on
so
process, not content.
that's why we wanted to wait until September, because
Okay.
we really wanted to have the full release on the test that we could really analyze all of it, not just have a partial discussion.
Makes sense. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.